if there's one thing I know for sure, the people of Mona Commons will never, never, ever forget Mark Golding. Not anytime soon, in any event. Not at all. Now, some comrades asked me to look this thing up for quite some time. They said they seem to recall there was a protest outside UHWI, and Mark Golding protested against the PNP. Well, search as I could not find the info. And then, when I was doing a deep research on this man, because nobody in the PNP don't know him from Adam, except that he was with DB&G and Miss Bunting's friend, right? That's what they know about him. Then it came up. Ellison Flats residents stage demonstration. I said, I can read this thing. Well, let me read it with you, because it does make for very interesting reading. And you know what it shows? It shows that in life, we must always, always be careful of the things we say and the things we do, because at some time in the future, it could come back to haunt us. Always be careful. Always be certain that whatever it is you're doing it for the right reasons, and then you'll have nothing to fear. So let us delve into the past and read what it was that this demonstration at Ellison Flats was all about. And then we look at the character of the man that we have been digging up. That's the character of the man. I can talk about now. Him want to lead PNP. Go and look on in constituency and see what him doing down there. The things about him I talk about him I go do for me and you. Look and see if him I do it in him constituency. He's rich. And him have topanaris. Bunononos friends.
The Jamaican people need the People's National Party back in government with Mark Jefferson Golding as the Prime Minister and a topanaris set of people around me for run the country.
And tonight I am going to show you another insight as to who this man is. Not the little pretend thing. You say a sing and a go on and a go on and a rock to, yeah man. Marvin Gaye, yeah man. Tony Rebel, yeah. That is just another form of exploitation, because they believe we are stupid. And perhaps we are, some of us. Nonetheless, let us now turn to the main event. And for those of you who are comrades, I want you to tell me if you knew all these things about this Englishman. And if you're a delegate of the People's National Party, please tell us, when you were voting, did you know all these things about the man you were voting for, assuming that you voted for him in the first place? And if you did not vote for him, tell us why. We'd love to hear what you think. If you'd like to conduct your own research, you may subscribe to the Gleaner archives, and I'll tell you the date in a moment that you will find this article, Ellison Flats Resident Stage Demonstration. The article was written November 23, 2000. So that's 25 years ago, almost 25 years ago, just a few months short. And it says, about 50 residents of Ellison Flats in St. Andrew, accompanied by representatives from nearby institutions, converged on the Mona Road entrance of the University of the West Indies yesterday morning, where they peacefully demonstrated against the proposed relocation of squatters from Mona Commons to a plot of land near their community. My people, if you know anybody in Mona Commons, please refer this video to them. It is very important that they get this video. A PNP people them too, you know. They are mostly PNP people in the Commons. And what was happening at the time is that the P.J. Patterson government it's a problem. The people are living in deplorable conditions. They themselves admit they don't want to be where they are. They just found themselves there by circumstances. They're not saying that they want to stay on the land. They're asking if the government would just help them to relocate somewhere else. Them not look nothing free. They're prepared to spend the money and buy the property. No problem, but just give them a little consideration. And the government heard their cry, and I'm going to read on now, and you will see what it was that they had attempted to do that these people were demonstrating against. Right? So, what we have here 50 residents. 50 residents were out there. Right? And it was organized by somebody. And it was not the people in Mona Commons. Let's read on and see what we learn. Who were out there demonstrating against the relocation of these people, right, to a plot of land near for them place. Them never want these poor people near them. No, they didn't. And so they gathered outside of the University of the West Indies Gate and demonstrated against the move. And they are quoting one of the persons who they had interviewed, the Gleaner. We are doing this, and then we are going to watch it. If the government does not come out and say something to us, then we will come out again, said President of the Ellison Flat Citizens Association, Heather Little. You will recall that she became Heather Little White. I do believe she's of blessed memory. As she clutched a placard which read, "Don't destroy the environment." So that was their excuse for not wanting the people beside them. They said it would have affected the environment. Right? Let's read on. She reiterated her opposition to the relocation, which she said would pose a security problem for residents, drive down their property value, as well as create an environmental threat to surrounding institutions such as the Sir John Golding Rehabilitation Center, where the disabled are offered care. So this is Heather Little White's position, right? She's concerned about the security problem because, most of the residents there, they were poor people. There were also persons who were experiencing violence, and they were also perpetuating violence. Not everybody, never everybody, always a few, right? So they said, environmental problem is what her placard said, but then she gave her own other reasons. She gave other reasons, right? And you heard them. Security problem posed for the residents that they'll be living near, drive down them property value, as well as create an environmental threat to the surrounding institution, institutions such as the Sir John Golding Rehabilitation Center. So they were all out there. And this is what they would have discussed, right? So she was speaking on behalf of the other persons who were there, and we will learn who they are shortly. The demonstration, which started about 7 a.m., was timed to coincide with yesterday's meeting of the Mona Campus Council, which was called to discuss plans for the campus development. So they were not there to discuss the relocation of the persons who were at the Mona Commons. So the members of the Mona Campus Council did not appear to have been concerned about where the Mona Commons residents were relocated to. So they decided to mount this demonstration to put pressure on them. It says, a source told the Gleaner that the Mona Commons relocation, which has been a hot topic of public discussion for weeks, was not on the official agenda, but was likely to receive some attention from the council. That is because of the demonstration. So it appears that they were trying to get this relocation matter on the agenda for this meeting. and we'll soon see why. Efforts to get a comment from Principal Professor Kenneth Hall after the meeting were unsuccessful. You remember Kenneth Hall was a former Governor General. The UWI and the government have been in discussions over the proposed use of 3.2 acres of the university's lands for the construction of 144 studios and apartments to house some of the 700 squatters. So they were going to build 144 studios and some number of apartments. They never said how many. And there were 700 people who were remaining to be relocated, right? You saw the respect that government had for these people, that they wanted to provide them with some decent housing with sanitary conveniences, among other things. Now, I read somewhere recently that Sister Fable, in whose constituency these persons reside, she is now left with the problem of trying to relocate them. So their member of parliament is trying to help. The people need the help. They're trying to help. Well, if somebody would be kind enough to send this to Sister Fable, she may know something about previous efforts to help. I'm sure she does. But the reason why I'd like you to send it to her, since she's trying to help the people, but she's at her wits' end as to how. Well, Sister Fable, there was a 3.2 acre of university lands that the government wanted to set aside to build some studios and apartments for these same people. And there's another plot, and we'll come to it shortly. If you can find out from the people, I don't think they knew where it was, but Professor Hall and the other persons who are a member of this Mona Campus Council at the time may know where the lands are. And therefore, you may now go and take a look and see if you would like to renew the effort to get the lands and develop for those persons. These people understand that when black people step up in a life, them step up and leave all of the baggages behind them. So find the land, Sister Favor, find the land and renew the effort to relocate them to these lands. That is what I would suggest. But look, Sister Favor, there's also another piece of land. It says here, another plot of land located just on the outskirts of Augustown is also being eyed for the construction of starter homes to accommodate the rest of the squatters. So they were going to put some on the 3.2 acres of the UWI land, and the rest would have gone to the outskirts of Augustown, which meant now that the land would be cleared. Mona Commons would be no more. They went on to say among yesterday's demonstrators were Major General Robert Nish, Executive Director of the Sir John Golding Rehabilitation Center, the widow of the late Sir John Golding, Lady Patricia Golding, and her son, Mark Golding. Yes, there were also persons from nearby Jamaica School of Hope and the Cancer Hospice who joined in to vent their disapproval. Major General Nish told the Gleaner that relocating the squatters near to the center would raise concerns for the security of the people who use the facility. Is that really so? Then there is nothing the government can do to protect the people, like, for example, providing them with additional security. No, you don't care about that. You just don't want the people beside you. And you are speaking on behalf of those who were part of the Sir John Golding Rehab Center, Lady Patricia Golding and her son Mark Golding.
My father was an orthopedic surgeon, but he was very involved in trying to help persons with disabilities. He started the Mona Rehab Center, which is now named after him, and many other institutions. The Hope Valley Experimental School, which is a school for disabled and able-bodied children to learn together and learn about each other. He was involved in the start of the Fish Clinic, the Hospice Care Center for people with terminal illness. He started that, you know.
Yes. Major General Nish went on to say, the construction that would go on there would bring in undesirable people and pose a threat. Undesirable people, right? So the persons who are going to work on this site, he's presuming that these now would be undesirable people. This is another white man who lives in Jamaica. He was the head of the army. And when I say white, I mean white. Him white, him wife white, and him two picnic them white, right? And he is calling black people in this country who would have gotten an opportunity to work on the sites, provide employment for people, undesirable, and him don't know nothing about them. You see how them think about us? And this is something that all of them in the Mona Rehab, those persons, Niche, Mark Golding and his mother, would have sit down and discuss. We don't want this, and this is the reason why we don't want it. And so when he went out there and the Gleaner asked him, he told them he was speaking on their behalf. November 23, 2000. So they were of the opinion that the construction that would have taken place would have brought in undesirable people to pose a threat to a community that is not able to defend itself, he said. Opponents of the relocation, including UHWI lecturers, have charged that while other more suitable sites can be found for the squatters, the PNP government wants to ensure they retain the East St. Andrew constituency because of its traditional loyalty to the party. So these were PNP people. And they said that what the PNP wanted to do was that to move them out of the constituency, because they would lose votes, 700 votes, and some persons were moved already, right? So they went on to say, however, Member of Parliament for the area, Colin Campbell, while admitting that he prefers to have the residents remain in the constituency, has shot back with the claim that opposition to the relocation is anchored in social prejudice.
The Jamaican people need the People's National Party back in government with Mark Jefferson Golding as the Prime Minister and a topanaris set of people around me for run the country.
Sounds so to you? Sounds so to me. There is also at least one voice of dissent in the government, with Lands and Environment Minister Seymour Mullings objecting to the relocation plan on environmental grounds, saying that it would be a backward step. Can you imagine that? So the PNP was facing backlash. I wonder where it was that Mr. Mullings was living at the time when he made that remark. So that was the end of the article. These are the protesters. You can't see them clearly because, this is a scanned document. And there's a caption as well. Just below the picture of the protesters, we have the caption, President of the Ellison Flats Citizens Association, Heather Little, was left in the foreground, so she was left in front, accompanied by widow of the late Sir John Golding. She would have been standing next to her. Lady Patricia Golding, second left. Her son, Attorney at Law Mark Golding, second right, and Executive Director of the Sir John Golding Rehabilitation Center, Major General Robert Nish, led a demonstration outside the main gate of the University of the West Indies yesterday against the proposed relocation of squatters from Mona Commons, St. Andrew, to nearby UHWI lands. So here was the Gleaner telling us that they were the ones who were leading the demonstration. There were 50 people out there. But these three, plus Heather Little, they were the ones who were leading the demonstration. Mark Golding, his mother, Major General Nish, Robert Nish, and Heather Little from the Ellison Flat Citizens Association. They were the leaders of the demonstration. And it was Heather Little and Robert Nish who spoke, but they were speaking on behalf of the others. Right? Whatever reason they gave, and they gave various reasons. all of which could be solved with the exception of the devaluing of their property. That the government couldn't help them with, except to provide a decent enough condition for the people to live in, and then time will tell whether or not the people would have been undesirables and criminal as they seem to believe that they would. So I thought I'd bring you this little bit of tidbit, and I want to say to Sister Favor, go back and look to see if you can get this 3.2 acres off of the university if they're prepared to donate it and relocate the people. The PNP government got cold feet and didn't go ahead with their plans for the people, who must have been extremely disappointed. And so for the past 25 years, they have been living, many of them, in the same dreadful condition, which must have deteriorated even further. So if you can help them as the MP, please do, but don't be shy and afraid, right? It is very unlikely and very doubtful that Mark Golding would be going out there and leading any demonstration against the move if you decide to put them on that same piece of land they were demonstrating about. I can almost guarantee you that Mark Golding will not be out there leading any demonstration against these PNP people getting proper housing. Not this time around. Not with an election around the corner and them in desperate need of votes, like every political party does. So, Mona Commons people, when you see this Englishman come, I come tell him I promise you downtown and parade, try and remember say him while you're suffering until this day. And him was one of the 4 people that stand up out there to protest your relocation. It was them, a style who no undesirable, never want to get no work near them because, according to them, you would pose a security threat to people, right? And I call a style undesirables because poor. And because poor, them assume that you must be thief and murder us. Them are people born with gold spoon at them out. They're no poor people. So them think because you don't have any money or you don't know where to live that you must be a thief and a criminal. But the ones who were exploiting your foreparents and got rotten rich out of it, right, with them old money, they are privileged. That's what they call themselves, not privileged, and then call you undesirable. Let me ask you a quick question, people of Mona Commons. Wanna see Mark Golding come round there? In come round there, come, say my campaign? Did you see Patricia Duncan Sutherland run their campaign? The whole of them belong to a sect in the PNP that call themselves Rise United Movement. Them are the PNP. Them divorced themselves from the PNP long time and I call themselves Risers. Them are the PNP. And that is the sect of people that him belong to. And so does Patricia Duncan Sutherland. Never mind she'll come tell you about her father this and her father that. Her father was no traitor. She is. Put in the comment section for me there, please, if the Englishman put him foot round a Mona Commons yet. I have one last question to ask the residents of Mona Commons. How you think Mark Golding was able to get the government of Jamaica to stop your relocation? Heather Littlewhite was a PNP supporter. They used their political connections within the PNP to put an end to it. And that's why you've been suffering for the past 25 years. And them soon come tell you all kind of something about what them are doing now because I'm hoping that you don't remember them. But I have a feeling that you do. Not true?
I want to move to housing. You see, when we as politicians are on the road walking, and it happens to every single one of us on this platform, we're walking and somebody says, you must go look for the comrade over there, sir. Them a comrade from Michael Manley days. Them a stalwart in the community. You have to go look for them. And we say, all right, and we go over there. And normally when you go over there, you see a frail comrade who has been through the battle. And them there, you know, look a rocking chair or them lie down on the bed. And you go in there and you say, comrade, how you do? And introduce yourself. and you thank them for them service to the party. And then you take fast and you cock your hand for your Kimbo and you go look up. And when you look up, God Almighty, straight in the sky you look. Because of the condition under which they are living. These are persons who have served the party with distinction and them don't live nowhere. And it is part of the reason make them pitney and grand pitney stop vote. Because they say, look how mama and papa run back a politics and look which part them live.